Welcome to Memorial Cooking Innovations. I'm Tim Scallon, registered dietitian, and where's Chef Manny? He was here just a moment ago. Hey Tim, come on, let's go for a ride! Well, here we are at Lufkin Fire Station number 3 with Chief Ted Lovett. Chief Lovett, thank you for having us here.
Thanks for being here, and welcome to Firehouse 3. As you see, it's a new station and we're real proud of it. I'm glad you could join us in a little cooking today.
All right. Well, it's a beautiful station here. Chef Manny, what do you think about this kitchen?
Oh, I love this. This is beautiful. But best of all, we want to really personally thank you for the work that you guys do that people don't appreciate or don't know much of what y'all do. But Tim, wearing that big hat, it's heavy. And imagine them going out middle of the night or whatever. So we want to thank you. By doing that, we're going to cook for you today.
Great. The guys will love it, and they do try to stay in shape. They realize the job requires that, and diet is part of our fitness program, so let's get to cooking.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
We just happen to have a very special guest today who knows a little bit about firefighters and healthy eating. I'd like to introduce Miss Jessica Lilly.
Thanks for having me.
Well, Jessica, welcome to Memorial Cooking Innovations. So you are a dietetic intern at Stephen F. Austin State University. So when do you finish with your internship?
I finished the internship in May, and then I'll sit for the RD exam in June or July.
Whoa, so you're just like at the end of your academic career.
Yes.
So you're excited.
I am.
This time next year, you're going to be an RD.
Hopefully, that's the plan.
And you know what an RD is.
A real dietitian?
Well, that's not it, is it, Jessica?
Registered dietitian.
A registered dietitian.
I knew that one, Tim.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to start. Go ahead.
I just wanted to see if you were ready.
Okay, all right. Well, so we're going to call him an RC.
Registered chef?
Registered chef. Okay. All right. So Jessica, tell us about your interest in firefighters.
Well, I have a personal interest mostly because my dad is a fireman in Houston and my grandpa was a fireman. He actually died from heart disease, so that just made me really interested to see how the lifestyle contributed to that and everything, and then high blood pressure.
Did you know, Tim, that she's doing a study on firefighters?
You are? Okay, so tell us about that, Jessica.
Well, most of the studies I've been reading and researching focus mainly on how firemen can be, in their downtime during the day when they're eating, and they're just kind of more relaxed. Their body isn't going and moving. Yeah. Well, then they get a rush of adrenaline through their body when they hear the siren and alarm. They have to jump up and rush to the incident. So, and that kind of affects, their risk for heart disease. It wears the heart out over time.
So what you're describing is what we would sometimes refer to as the fight or flight response.
Absolutely.
And this is this rush of adrenaline. This comes from our genes in our prehistoric ancestors who were, every now and then all of a sudden a tiger is chasing them, and so this adrenaline causes an increase in blood pressure, an increase in blood sugar, and it gets you up that tree fast enough so that the tiger doesn't eat you.
Exactly.
But the problem with that is that when we do that repeatedly over and over, it wears on us.
Yes. Exactly.
And so that would increase our risk of heart disease.
And they would have a higher risk than the average public.
Yeah. And so in your studies, you have seen connection between firefighters and heart attack?
Yes, heart attack is the #1 killer of firefighters.
Okay. All right. Well, Jessica, thank you so much for coming to Memorial Cooking Innovations and sharing that with us. This is the reason, one of the reasons that we're here at the fire station is to talk about how we can reduce our risk of heart disease. And what better group to talk to than our first responders, huh?
Excellent.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you,
Thank
Jessica.
you for having me.
Okay. When we first started talking about doing a show at the fire station, we wanted to take a typical firehouse recipe and tweak it just a little to make a healthier version.
I mean, healthy is great, but we also got to make it taste good.
Well, and that's what Memorial Cooking Innovations is all about. Taking recipes, making them healthy, but taste great.
Exactly.
So, Chef Manny, tell us what we're cooking today.
Well, we did talk about, one of the firehouse always eats good, but we're going to take an old tradition now that we're coming into the winter time, and it's always, they get up early in the morning, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, while you and I are asleep. They're out fighting fires or some emergency.
Yeah.
But something that they can reheat later on, and I mean, it's just something good. We're going to do chili.
Okay.
But we're going to do a healthy chili, because I know that chili is not part of the healthy. When I said, let's do chili, you're
Well, actually, chili is a very good thing to make healthy, because anytime you can combine meat with vegetables, you're limiting your meat servings, which is a good thing, and you're including vegetables. So actually, chili is a very good dish.
The different, it's usually beef chili, but we're going to do a pork. We're going to do leaner. Okay. Pork is very lean. We're going to add a little bit of beef to it, but it's got to be a very lean piece of beef. Let's also look at the cost. Okay. Pork and beef is
Pork's a better value.
Better value, yes, exactly. So that's what we're going to do.
Now, what's the first reason, though, that you chose pork to go into this recipe? What's the main reason?
Nutrition. I mean, it's good for you.
I'm surprised to hear you say that.
And it's leaner.
Yeah.
And the value.
Okay, all right.
So
I thought you were going to say flavor.
And the flavor, too. I'm a pork person, though.
Okay.
I didn't want to throw that in because you always get after me, but you got to watch this. So, but anyway, we always talk good about pork. I mean, we're not promoting it. It's my favorite. You like it because it's leaner. There's certain cuts. They're the fattier cuts.
Well, that's
bacon.
Right. Yeah, we're not. You never see us do bacon or sausage on Memorial Cooking Innovations.
No, but we do use the pork. So anyway, we got it. We're gonna get started. I got to put a little olive oil, right?
Okay.
We're gonna sweat the onions.
Okay.
Now this chili right here, we're going to add, normally you would add more fat and then kind of cook it up and then thicken it up with a little flour, but we're going to use beans to thicken it up.
Okay.
Okay, so we're not using too much flour. We're going to use low sodium.
Okay.
We got some red bell peppers.
All right.
For color and flavor, because you get a lot of vitamins out of red peppers.
Yeah.
We got poblano peppers.
Yes.
All right.
Deep colors always are an indication to us of antioxidants, so that's a good thing. Okay.
Okay, so we're going to sweat this for a few minutes, okay?
And I noticed that you've got actually just dry kidney beans here. So
I did. And
have you already soaked them?
Already soaked them. Okay. I soaked them overnight. Now, if you get the canned ones, it would be nice to remove them and then rinse them off a little bit, because they're kept with a lot of sodium in there. So we want to avoid the sodium.
Well, and in fact, these days, if you watch your canned beans, there are some that are not 1,100 milligrams of sodium in that can. And that's not an exaggeration, by the way. Our daily, what we should be getting in sodium is 1,500 milligrams a day. So anytime that we have a one food serving that's more than about 200 milligrams, that's a lot of sodium. So when you hear me say our recipes fit healthy guidelines, the sodium is one of those guidelines that I'm trying to hit. Of course, cholesterol and saturated fat would be other guidelines.
Okay, so I got it going. I'm sauteing. I want to sweat the onions and the pepper, get all the flavor there.
Got some beautiful color in that.
Then we got some pork loin. Nice center cut. We got it lean. I just diced it up a little bit, okay?
All right.
We got a little bit of tomato paste and low sodium tomato paste.
Yes.
Okay, and they are available in the market.
And interestingly, I just want to point this out. Whenever I found this, the label did not clearly say that it was low sodium, or sometimes it says no added salt. Like, for example, this label clearly says no added salt on it. Okay, a significant difference in sodium. This one didn't, but when you looked at the milligrams of sodium per serving, it was only 20 milligrams, so that's actually real low.
Low, okay. So while we're sweating this, we're going to go add, this is going to help us thicken it up as well, okay? And give us some color and fruit and taste.
Good tomato flavor.
So we're going to add some.
Chili, of course, I always want to say Texas chili, because for us here in East Texas, that's the only chili there is. Now, in other parts of the country, because Memorial Cooking Innovations is in 46 cities across the country, we have to clarify that the chili that we're making is not like a a Cincinnati chili, for example, or a New Mexico chili. It's more of a Texas style chili.
Okay, we're going to cook this up a little bit.
Okay.
Then we're going to add, again, some diced tomatoes.
Okay. Got to have that tomato flavor in Texas chili. Okay.
Okay. Now, we're going to mix it. We didn't add too much liquid because we're going to add the pork and the beef, okay?
Okay.
Then we're going to saute that. But what I want to do
now
is
this isn't looking like chili to me so
Not
far.
yet.
Okay, all right.
yet.
Okay.
Okay, now we're going to grab the pork.
Okay.
We're going to add our pork.
All right.
Now, we're kind of mixing in all the flavors together, okay?
Yeah.
A lot of times you cook the pork and the beef first.
Yeah.
But we're going to do it separately. That way we can combine all the flavor. We're not going to use too much, okay? Because,
Yeah.
we want to use little beef.
Yeah. Well, and of course, you're going to see that the recipe that you'll see on the screen, this recipe is made to show a bigger batch. You're just kind of giving us a smaller version, a demonstration here. And this beef, by the way, your recipe says 90-10, or in other words, it's 90% lean and 10% fat. This particular beef is 94% lean, so it's a very lean beef.
We're going to let that cook just for a few minutes, okay?
Okay, and one of the questions is, can beef be part of a healthy lifestyle? And the answer is yes. Now, the key in beef is lean. And so in all meats, there are fatty cuts and there are lean cuts. The leanest cuts of beef are taken from the back leg bone, called the round bone. These include eye of round, top round, and bottom round. These cuts are the leanest and most muscular because the cow uses its back legs as its primary means of movement. The underbelly, including rib, ribeye, spare rib, and brisket, are the sites of the fattiest cuts. And we can see this in our own muscles. Our strongest muscles are our thighs because we use them daily for movement. They're stronger because they're more lean and less infiltrated with fat.
All right, Tim. We're gonna we cook it for about 5-8 minutes.
Okay.
Make sure that the meat and the pork are like medium rare, but you just want to give it some time to cook. Get all that flavors in there.
Browning it, but it doesn't have to cook all the way.
It doesn't have to cook all the way, okay?
Yeah.
And that's all we did right here. All right. Now we're gonna add a little bit of chili powder.
All right.
A little bit of cumin.
Cumin, okay. And chili powder, cumin, no health issues with that. We don't have to limit how much we use, like, for example, salt.
Exactly. Now, I apologize to you, but, I always use fresh herbs.
Yeah.
This is one that I did not have fresh thyme. It didn't come in early on time. So on time, it didn't come in.
It didn't come in on time.
Yeah, so I
used
dry.
Using dried thyme.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right. A little dry thyme.
Okay.
Okay. So now we're going to start smelling it. It's going to start smelling really, really good.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Now, we've done chipotle.
Yes. In fact, you used this chipotle and adobo sauce. I think on one past show you made a low-sodium barbecue sauce with this.
With chipotle pepper.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we've also used it with low-fat mayonnaise to give it more flavor because low-fat mayonnaise doesn't, there's not that much flavor to it.
And now this is one of those items that, and you'll see he's just going to use a small amount. One thing, it's hot, but the other thing that you want to think about is this is a high sodium ingredient, so you use it in limited amounts.
Very little.
Yeah.
Again, we mix it together.
But now, why do you like this, Chef Manny? Because you use
I like
this
the
a
flavor
lot.
of it. I like the flavor. I like that smoky pepper because it's kind of smoky, but yet kind of spicy, right?
Okay.
Now, we're going to use low-sodium vegetable stock.
Okay. All right. And in the grocery store, that looks something like this. It doesn't have to be this brand. But the key on this label is it says low sodium. Okay. And so the low sodium is important because if you use regular vegetable broth in 8 cups in this, it'll be so salty you can't eat it.
Yeah, plus you have salt here.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Now, we use red beans.
Okay.
To this one.
Yeah.
What we did was we soaked them overnight. Okay, and then rinse them off again so we're ready. This is also going to help absorb some of the juice, make it thick. Okay.
Now,
so,
Chef Manny, if you were using canned beans, you'd add them at the end.
Yeah, you add them at the end, but you want to rinse them off because again they're held with sodium in there. You want to try to avoid as much sodium as possible.
So these, because when you were talking about making chili, I thought we were going to use canned beans, but when you said
let's use fresh
because it's
when we add the liquid, it also absorbs the liquid.
Yes.
Now by soaking them overnight, it cooks twice as fast.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and then Randy told us he did that, and that's a good thing that Randy told me that because when we soak the beans, it's usually we do 3 to 1. 1 cup of beans, 3 cups of water.
Okay.
Because it will absorb a lot of water. So when you get up in the morning, you're like, where did the water go?
Yeah. And beans are one of those super nutrient-dense foods that really we want to eat on a more regular basis. Did you know that the fiber in beans lowers our blood sugar? It also lowers our cholesterol. It reduces the amount of cholesterol that is absorbed when we eat things like meat. So beans are a good thing to eat with meat in order to absorb less of the cholesterol.
And that's good to know.
And they add texture and interest to the dish. Okay, now this is starting to look like chili.
Like a little like chili. Okay. Now what I want to do is add some of that juice that we
out
have
of the tomato.
Here.
You got to have good tomato flavor.
Oh
yeah. In fact, people who eat tomatoes on a regular basis have a lower incidence of heart disease.
That's awesome.
So all you firefighters out there, we heard Jessica talking about heart disease. Eating tomatoes on a regular basis is a very good thing.
What do you think?
Oh, that is
now
really
we're just going to let this
good.
one cook slowly, okay?
And this
It'll take about 45 minutes to do so. But earlier when we were back home in our at the hospital,
yes,
we actually we started making some there, so we brought some for the firefighters.
Okay,
what do you think?
all right.
But we're going to let this cook for
This
a
is
little bit.
really smelling good. Are y'all smelling that over there? Okay, all right. When we were looking for something to go with chili, okay, guys, what goes good with chili?
Cold beer.
No, not cold beer. Cornbread. Okay, so they're firemen. What can you say?
I like that, man.
You'd fit in.
This will be my hangout.
Okay, so you were talking to the
when
team
we were in the kitchen, when we
yeah.
were talking about chili, they always got to be there around to see what we're up to.
Yeah, the team at Memorial Nutrition Services Department.
So what did they come up with?
Well, they wanted to do hot water cornbread.
And I said, hot water cornbread. I heard of it, but I've never done that.
And you know what? On Memorial Cooking Innovations, we are food explorers.
We are. And thanks to our staff, Miss Eula, Miss Bobby, Miss Faye, and Charles.
Yeah.
They all brought their recipe.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, guys, great, but I got to give it to Tim.
Well, so, neither one of us had made hot water cornbread before, and, I had heard of it.
I've heard of it a lot of times.
This is one of those recipes that calls back to us from the deep south. And
can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
I'm thinking cornmeal, kind of like make some, add some water or something and then throw it in boiling water. That's what I thought,
No, that's
hot
not,
water,
yeah.
but it wasn't that way, was it?
No, it's not. In fact,
it's amazing.
In fact, this is actually a piece of our food history. Just a little piece is hot water cornbread, and all of our grandparents would know hot water cornbread, but a lot of people today don't, just like us.
Because it's here in the South.
Yeah.
They use it. I mean, they're still eating.
Okay,
hot water cornbread.
So you want me to put this together?
Well, that's the thing. We talked about it. So what did you do that last weekend?
Well, because we had never done this before, and when we develop these recipes, we have to test them out, make sure we got what we're looking for.
And usually Fridays, you and I get together because it kind of slows down a little bit. And of course, that's your weekend duties to try one of the recipes. Yeah. I'll try the other one.
So I made the hot water cornbread.
You did, and you know what? Tim was so happy when he came back on Monday because he saved me some.
Yeah.
Right? So here we got 2 cups of cornmeal.
Yeah.
Yellow cornmeal. Now, on the yellow cornmeal, there is a fine grain on the cornmeal. You get
fine or a coarse grain.
Coarse grain.
Yeah.
So we got a medium.
Yeah. Now, actually, I like the coarse grain because I like the texture of that. Now, when we're baking. This would classify as baking, even though we're not going to bake it. Well, I guess we are going to bake it because we're going to finish it in the oven.
Exactly.
It's one of the changes we did in this recipe. We do want to measure certain ingredients. Like, for example, we want to measure the sodium ingredients. So I've got baking powder here, and I've got salt, and I'm calling for a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder, and that's going to be a level teaspoon. Okay. Now, Chef Manny, you always make fun of me for measuring, but you know, on these, if we're trying to hit our healthy guidelines,
that is a good thing. But you know, when I was in school, I mean, we all carry that in our pocket because we had to measure everything. But after so many years over and over cooking, we kind of get a hint or an idea of what we're using. You see what I'm saying? Measuring wise.
Well, and for
I told you, I guessed at 2 cups, and you and I measured, and it was a 2 cup, wasn't it?
Yes. Well, but for you, this is instinct, you know. Now,
I do it every day.
But for most of us, you know, we don't.
A pinch of pepper.
Just a pinch of pepper. You can tell I'm a dietitian, huh? Okay. All right.
Are you ready?
So we got all our dry
ingredients. Once we got all the mixed well.
Let me make sure I got everything in. I got one more. Now in this recipe, we
took some salt and added a little sodium with the cheese.
Yes.
And that we come out with the right level of sodium.
Well, and the rest of this story was whenever I did the traditional recipe, it passed muster with all of the employees who knew hot water cornbread in the kitchen. But because we were serving this with chili, we were thinking, okay, so how could we do a variation on hot water cornbread to go well with chili? Well, cheese goes good. And also adding cheese to this recipe smooths it out, and it brings some flavor to the dish.
Oh, it's great.
So
you ready?
Yeah, put me a little
So now we're going to add a little bit at a time.
Here. Yeah, okay. Okay, that's enough. Okay, good enough. And basically what you're going to do is you're just going to stir this until you can form it into a patty. Okay, a little more. All right, let's see if this is going to work. Okay, now we're getting there. All right. Okay, you got your oil.
I got my hot pan. Now I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil.
And we want that good and hot.
Good and hot, right there.
Is he ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're getting good at this, Tim.
Well, it's not every day that you get to make hot water cornbread. Now, you know what? We got just a little bit too much water in this one. Let's see if that's not going to come out for us. I think it'll still work.
It'll come out really good.
Now, see, what I'm doing is I'm using this spoon to give me a rough measure. And what you're making is just a patty out of these. All right.
Now, you're going to find that if you do it without the cheese, it won't stick as much. By using cheese, the cheese sticks to the pan too. So you just got to play with it a little bit.
Yeah. Now, in the one that I did, Chef Manny, at home, I didn't have quite as much water in it. So these we might have to.
I think it'll be really good because what we're gonna do is we're gonna brown them really nice.
Yeah.
How about a couple more and that's it?
Okay.
And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna flip them over and then finish them in the oven.
And this is a difference from the traditional recipe. The traditional recipe is this would be a fried bread.
Exactly.
You would have you'd have in your pan a 1/4 inch of oil. And in this recipe, we're going to start it and get some browning going in the pan, but then we're going to finish it in the oven. Now, another interesting, and this is a good teaching point about hot water cornbread, is this is a low sodium alternative to cornbread. But it's only a good alternative if we're careful in using the high sodium ingredients. We got 3 high sodium ingredients in this recipe. What are they, Chef Manny?
Well, we got the baking powder.
Yep.
We got sodium.
Yeah, salt.
And
the cheese.
And the cheese, of course.
So you're going to put that in the
So
oven.
I'm going to throw it in the oven, Tim.
Okay, all right. And so those 3 ingredients, you noticed I measured those carefully because I'm trying to hit that healthy guideline for not too high in sodium. And that's true generally in all of our recipes. If we're going to hit, if we're aiming at 1,500 milligrams of sodium a day, then in one meal we want to be less than 500. And we're well under that with this chili and cornbread.
And this is going to be great. Mm-hmm. So what we did some earlier at the hospital. So now while you talk a little bit while I get my pot and I'm going to start dishing up for the firefighters because I know they're waiting for it.
Okay, all right. Well, just to compare, I said that this was a low sodium alternative to cornbread. This cornbread would be 178 milligrams sodium, compared to about 285 milligrams in a 2-inch square piece of regular cornbread. So this is a good alternative for using instead of regular cornbread. So what have we talked about today? So we've talked about how lean beef does fit into a healthy diet. And the key there is eating small servings and choosing lean cuts. When we mix beef with beans, that's a good mix because even lean beef and pork has cholesterol, and beans soak up that cholesterol instead of it going into our bloodstream. So beans help lower our cholesterol. Beans also help control our blood sugar. Okay, so beans are one of those foods that we should eat on a regular basis. We've learned today that using small servings of small amounts of high sodium ingredients in recipes, we can still hit the flavor we're after, but we're also being conscious of still hitting that healthy guideline. Hot water cornbread calls us back from the deep south, and in this recipe, this variation, we added cheese for the flavor because we wanted to accompany the chili. And so if you wanted to make this in the traditional way, you wouldn't add the cheese. That would be the more traditional hot water cornbread.
But anyway, this is what, after we throw it in the oven, this is what our cornbread looks like.
So that little bit of browning in the pan, then you put it in the oven.
Put it in the oven.
And
we'll
Chef Manny, this was the same thing that we did whenever we were doing, believe it or not, we did a healthy chicken fried steak. Would you guys believe that you can do a healthy chicken fried steak? You got to go back and see this show. I mean, go to Memorial Health website, and you can see all past shows, and you can find chicken fried steak. It was the same concept. You browned it in the pan, then finished it in the oven, and it turned out great, huh?
Oh, it was good. We had a lot of compliments. Of course, we do our live show.
Yeah.
And that's where we introduced the recipe we just filmed.
Yeah.
And they enjoyed it. They didn't think, a few people didn't even think it could be possible.
That's right. That's right.
But knowing us, we can make something possible. Look at this. It smells good, doesn't it? How's the chili, guys?
Oh man, if this is eating healthy, I could get used to this.
All right, all right.
We'd like to say thank you to our friends at the Lufkin Fire Department and especially the crew at Fire Station 3. Thanks, guys. Appreciate y'all. Y'all are doing great work.
Awesome.
And also thank you to Brookshire Brothers, a celebration of family and community. Thanks to the H.C. Polk Education Center. The work that Miss Ethel and Miss Gloriella are doing are helping these people to come back into control. And thank you to Sodexo for Chef Manny Marini.
Hey, it's a pleasure.
And thanks to the City of Lufkin, who produces and distributes Memorial Cooking Innovations. And of course we want to thank you because if you join us next time, do you realize that you are helping us to change the world one bite at a time? They are.
Really?
Them and us. Together. We're changing the world.
One bite at a time?
See you guys next time.